Welcome back to Chit Chat. It's been so long. We've missed you very, very much.
So much.
This is episode 117. 116 felt like it was months ago.
Yep.
Because it was months ago. But we're back finally, and we're here to talk about a number of things. One of which is we have kind of a new format we're playing around with, so hopefully you'll like that. But we are going to talk about a trip we all took. In fact, the three of us, and Alicia went with us. Jeremy did not, but we went to a thing called A.T.O.M 2023.
Yeah.
This was a big collection of content creators and a few publishers at the Gamers Ranch down near St. Louis. We'll get to that in a moment. We're going to start things off with a little bit of news, though. And this is late breaking, although we'll see how excited you are about it. I got this book in the mail today. I used to be in publishing, and an old publishing buddy of mine did this, and he knows what I do now, so he sent me a copy. It's from Insight Editions. It's called The Ultimate Gamer's Cookbook.
It looks really good. I was flipping through it in some of the pages. The pictures look really good. Some of the food looks pretty
It looks tasty. I'm going to be honest with you. We've got a couple early reviews. That was one of them. The other one was okay. You weren't as enthused about it.
It's not that at all.
No?
I actually said that we should try to cook some of the recipes.
That is true. Ryan had the idea
I
that
said we should do it for a future episode.
A whole video of some kind where we cook recipes, maybe pair some of these.
So
with
what I heard
games.
is Ryan's cooking them,
I
and then we're
love
taste testing them.
cookbooks.
So yeah.
You're taste testing Ryan's cooking?
I love to cook. I love cooking.
Your face makes me worried.
I have a whole collection of cookbooks. This is the kind of cookbook. Oh, for one thing, it's like
How often do you cook?
I mean, almost every day.
Okay, well, like you
Going
cook?
to restaurants doesn't
He's
matter.
like, I get McDonald's
Are you learning
for
this
breakfast?
about me for the first time? I love to cook. But this is also something that would just make a great gift for a gamer, too. It's just like a cool little thing to have.
I mean, it is pretty, not generic, but it kind of crosses the gamut of all gaming. There's video game stuff in here. Aggro, apple dip, wild card dip, owl bear dip.
My favorite one was it's time to dual decker sandwiches.
Oh, that was pretty good. That was very smoothly
Thank
given.
you.
It's time to duel.
There was the pass your turn puffs, too, right?
Yeah.
Yes, pass your turn puffs. Anyway,
clever.
Check this out. Maybe I'll put a link in the description below. I'm sure he would really appreciate that. The other bit of news is this, and this is late breaking, and I guarantee you will be excited about this, is Flat Out announced a upcoming expansion for Cascadia.
Oh.
This is called Landmarks?
It's called Landmarks, and it's about landmarks. They haven't announced a ton of information yet,
No,
so
they
this
haven't.
is pretty late breaking, at least as far as us recording this. But yeah, they're introducing landmarks, which they say are going to kind of like give flavor to your habitats as well as earning some more points for the in-game. So I don't know exactly how that's going to work. I'm assuming there's going to be specific landmarks for specific terrains or habitats.
I would guess so.
You have to kind of like build in a certain way to earn.
I also wonder what
those
they mean
points.
by landmarks, like natural landmarks
Yeah.
or like man-made landmarks.
I mean, it's
probably
Cascadia.
not man-made.
Probably not man-made, right?
Yeah, like the White House in the center of Cascadia.
Not that kind of man-made, but like Mount Rushmore man-made.
Okay, that's a
Something that you might find in a national park. Or I guess
Campfire, kind of like campsite.
I
Just
would
a
say probably
campsite.
like famous mountains, maybe famous deserts, like actual landmarks that people would go to see. Like the Grand Canyon maybe could be one. Like
that's
that
true.
kind of
That
thing.
could be cool. I see that. And it's going to also have, I think, components and everything so that you can play up to 5 and 6 players for those of
that's
you
cool.
crazy enough to want to play 5 and 6 player games. And then also just more Cascadia stuff, like more
scoring
animal
cards.
scoring cards and things like that, which, like, I don't know anyone who wouldn't want that.
Well,
That's what makes the game
If you've
really
played,
good.
if you're still playing Cascadia by now, you're ready for some new animal cards,
Sure.
some new scoring puzzles to solve.
I mean,
for
I've
sure.
played it a lot, and I'm still not even ready for that. Like, seriously,
I always
I don't
want
even know
more.
if I've played with all of the
Oh, no?
different. Yeah, because don't you use just some, right?
Yeah, you just use some every game.
I have not played that much Cascadia, but I'm still excited for it. Yeah.
How many times have you played? Once?
Not that many. Less than 5 for sure, but I don't.
Oh, it's so
Are
fun.
you a fan? Do you like it?
Yeah, I liked it. I just haven't played it that much.
All right. Well, we're gonna play it more once we get Landmark.
There you
Hopefully,
go.
we'll get more information on it soon. I'm gonna reach out to Flat Out, see what we can find out. I mean, if we can get an prototype, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Flat Out. But let's talk about A.T.O.M. This is an event that you may have heard from a number of different content creators because they went all over the place to pull content creators from all different parts of the world. Well,
Yeah.
parts of the country anyway, and Canada. But also different types of content creation. TikTok, Instagram, photographers,
blogs.
all over the place. But this was Eagle Gryphon Games, Inside Up Games, and Queen Games. They came together to sort of make this happen, and we were there from Thursday to Sunday?
Yeah.
At the Gamers Ranch. And the Gamers Ranch was kind of the cool bit about it. I think that was probably the biggest lure for me, because we've played a lot of their games.
Sure.
Although there were some surprises. We'll get to
Yes.
that in a second. But the Gamers Ranch itself was really cool, and it was just an amazing event with a lot of different people.
Yeah, the Gamers Ranch is outside of St. Louis. I think David mentioned that. And it was built by a gamer, this guy David, who is one of the nicest,
He's so
friendliest,
sweet.
most upfront guys. And, he's done well for himself, well enough that he decided to turn his hobby into a business,
He had to have done pretty well.
I mean, he built this place himself, designed it. He built a lake for it to be on.
Yes.
He built, a disc golf course on site, which I'm sure we'll talk about. He's got ATVs and stuff that you could take out, but also inside is just everything a gamer could want.
Yes.
He's got hundreds of board games, the BGG Top
hundreds.
100, tons of table space. There's arcades, there's pool, there's foosball, there's VR machines, there's DDR.
Pinball.
There's 100 different Magic the Gathering pre-made decks that you could just
Yeah.
grab and play. It's
They've
wild.
got, and I'll get into the bizarre stuff. They've got a giant Lego station.
Yes.
And I mean,
Huge.
it's like 2 or 3 large board game tables put together where it's just Lego surface,
Yep.
and then all these bins full of Legos. So if you go there with maybe a family reunion where the whole family's into gaming and you got kids, perfect. Right next to that, they had a pretty robust painting station.
For minis.
Miniatures
Yeah.
painting. They had a sauna.
That's what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say the sauna.
I mean,
that's what I was like.
that might be the most out of the left field thing, but a nice
Yeah.
sauna built in this thing. Now, the one weird thing there, it was right in the same room where a lot of the games are being played.
Yeah, you can go back and forth.
Some of
You
us
just keep
joked.
playing sauna.
Some of us joked about would it be funny once everyone's in there playing if I just walk in there with a towel, get in the sauna, because there was windows in the sauna.
Yeah.
Well,
too.
and it houses a lot of people, right? We had I think 29 people
29
there.
people.
And so we all had different beds, all had different rooms, and it's kind of crazy how many people could fit into that space. There was a kitchen, there were all these tables where we could eat and hang out, not only just play games, but it's double level too, so there was a lot of fun playing games over the staircase even, or some TikTok content that went over that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
Oh, I think that's something you brought that up, and there was a couple really cool things that happened there. But one of them was the collaboration, because we don't do a lot with TikTok. We're starting to, so check out our TikTok.
Yeah, we've got
It's
a
there.
whole 3 TikToks.
But getting to hang out with some people, 2 of the people that were there were Grant Lyon and Danny Standring, who are big TikTok people.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun getting to learn and see that process,
Yeah.
and even be involved in some of the TikToks that they did. It was a good time, and they got kind of wild with those TikToks. We played a
Yeah.
bunch of different games, and I think Will from Tantrum House was there making TikTok content too. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so the people that were there, and I'm going to apologize right now if we forget anyone, so let's try to
don't
get this
forget.
done. We had Will and Noah from Tantrum House.
Will and Jonah.
Will and Jonah. From
Yeah,
Tantrum
Jonah.
House.
Sorry, Jonah.
Good start.
I'm going to edit that out. Will and Jonah, Mick, Starla, and Grant from Our Family
Yep.
Plays Games. Help me out. Keep going.
Steph and Michael from All the Meeples of the Rainbow.
Yep. Rob, Christina, and Brandon from Blue Peg, Pink Peg.
Marty and his wife from
Yeah.
Rolling Dice and Taking Names.
James from Little Meeples.
Yes.
Well, actually, James is also Little Meeples.
Yeah, James he's a great photographer, and he also does Little Meeples. Who else?
Board Game Coffee.
Board Game Coffee.
Yeah, Mark and
yes.
Brittany.
They were taking some time off from their child.
Oh, yeah.
This might have been one of their first trips
Yeah, I think
away
so,
without the
honestly.
child.
And they were actually documenting the whole thing too, so that'll be really cool to see how that comes out. I think that might have been that. We
think
talked about
we
Tantrum
got
House. I think we might have gotten
I
everybody.
think if that's not 29 people, and there was a mix of people from the publishers. They had 1 to 3 people there each. So.
And one special guest.
Oh yeah, the one.
That we did not know was going to happen, but we the reason we went, one of the big draws for us was to get to play Inventions, which is the new Lacerda game from Eagle Gryphon. They promised they would be there. We'd get to try it. What they didn't tell us was
who would teach it.
Was that Vital Lacerda himself was there to teach us his games. That one and Houses of Fado, which is his new mini gallerist. So we got to learn. Emily and I got to play Inventions with Vital.
It
which
was so cool. It was super
was
cool.
wild.
Honestly,
what did you think of meeting Vital?
I was like trying all weekend not to just like fangirl and be like super like awkward the whole time. So I was just like, oh, this is cool. This is normal. We're just chit-chatting over breakfast, talking about your family and how you got into board games. And I'm like inside being like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Well, it's so weird to be in this privileged position, I guess, because I don't want to embarrass you too much, but like there was a little bit of fangirling from Vital too, talking about how we've talked about his games so much on our channel. He's a big fan.
No, you're gonna make my ego way too
No,
big, Ryan.
as
Stop
well.
this. Stop this right now.
It was really cool. I won't include myself in this, but Vital said that both of them really understand his games well. So either he's blowing smoke, which he might be doing, or he watched a couple of our videos and he really feels that way.
Yeah, he talked about, he mentioned that we had him in our top games. He knew that you loved Kanban. He saw our, Weather Machine content, and so he was really excited to get to play Inventions with us. But I was like, I'm excited to get to play.
It was great to play with
you.
him too, right? Because whenever we had rules questions or like, how does this really work? He was right there to be like, oh, you just do this, this, that, or you just do this, or like, this is how that works together. So it clicks a lot more easily when Vital's right there, standing there helping you.
Plus the pressure's on.
There you go.
You have to learn.
And that wasn't even the coolest thing for me, because like we knew we were going to get to play Inventions, and it was a cherry on top. But that he also brought a prototype for his next game, Speakeasy, which was a follow-up to Inventions, and we got to play that too. In very, very early prototype form. So that was really cool to get to kind of spend between those two games like 8 hours of our time playing those games with him. It was a lot of fun.
Before we move off from Vital, I got to play.
Oh, you did. You played a game with him too.
You did.
Not one of his games. He, as well as he knew them, he knew me too, and my feeble mind. He thought he knew that his games are not exactly up my alley, so. We played pool. He and I actually teamed up against Rob and Christina from Blue Peg Pink Peg. Had a blast. I'm going to throw him under the bus a little bit because he lost the game for us. He was going for a shot. The 8-ball was dangerously close to the side pocket. And I pointed out, I said, Vital, you see the 8-ball here, right? You might hit this in. He's like, oh, he had confidence. I'll give him that. And then boom, boom, 8-ball went in. We lost.
Yeah, it's okay. He apologized.
So now I'm never going to play a Vitalis game again.
But yeah, and you guys played a lot of pinball too. There's a bunch of pinball machines.
The pinball tables were the latest and greatest, and that was
cool.
so awesome. And they weren't like crazy loud. The other thing you need to know about the Gamers Ranch, it is big. If we haven't gathered that from the pictures we've shown. It's all spread out, so even the noise from tables wasn't like you'd expect from like a typical con experience or anything.
Oh, no, it wasn't
or
that
even
bad
if
at
you've
all.
gone away in a cabin with a large group before, everyone was spread out, so there wasn't a lot of yelling of rules or learning and things like that.
Well, not only that, when I was playing Speakeasy one night, you guys were all doing karaoke.
Which
David has not this David, the David that owns Gamer has this crazy karaoke setup with a giant screen. Cool. He has speakers and mic, like he has the whole thing. Like
the place
has
crazy. Everything. I mean, honestly, there's no way that anyone could say, "Oh, but have you been to this place?" and it'd be better. This place might be the best place to play board games on the planet Earth.
Definitely bucket list item. Like
for sure,
you gotta go.
Well, and not just board games too. You guys went out a couple times to play frisbee golf.
We did disc golf.
We did disc golf. The weather wasn't super great, but I actually played before we went down there. I was able to stop by and get a round in with Jamie Stegmeyer and some of his friends. He's a big disc golfer, so we had a round of that, and it was very wet that day. It dried up a little bit, but it did rain a few of the days. But on Saturday, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Saturday afternoon, we got out with a group who were interested in playing disc golf. I think Ryan wanted to, but didn't. He was in the middle of a game.
I was in the middle of funny story. We started setting up Speakeasy when you left, and when you got back, we had just finished the rules teach. There was a little bit of a lunch break in between too, but it was a big game. So.
But we went out and played. We split into teams, and Jonah took one of the teams, and Jonah was the disc golfer.
Well, Jonah walked out looking like he was going on an expedition. He had the big backpack with like discs stuffed into it. He had like towels and like I'm like, man, this is a guy that like knows what you need to bring onto a
and then like
disc golf field.
James and I hadn't really disc golfed before. Grant really hadn't much either. But like so Jonah was like, okay, here we go, Emily, first draft. I was like, what? Why?
He believed
But he
in
took
you.
all of our novices on his team, and then
That's
he was like
great.
really coaching Grant through it too. And
He really
like,
was.
That's great.
Here's what you want to do. Here's what you're aiming for, and there's some improvement there.
Yeah,
and
not
meanwhile,
quite enough improvement because I lent 2 of my discs to people, one of which is sitting right here. We did retrieve hers from the lake. By the way, there is a giant, it's like a 3-acre lake.
so you go
just
swimming if it was
alongside
warm too.
But yeah, and then James, I will throw him totally under the bus. Because on one of the holes, he was like, and he just went whoosh, and threw it right over into the lake. That one we didn't get. It was quite a ways
gone.
out.
That one
there.
was so funny though because it was the opposite direction of the hole, like completely, and
Oh,
none
yeah.
of us thought it was gonna happen.
If you've ever played, sometimes you throw and it just gets stuck on your finger
Yeah.
and just whoop that way. It was pretty fun, but everyone had fun.
It was a lot of fun.
And I think James made up for it too with those amazing photos.
Oh.
James,
Oh, yeah.
James is a professional photographer. And I think he even made a joke that after this weekend, he might switch to disc golf photography because his photos turned out
His disc
so
golf,
good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab some of those. Hopefully, you can see some of them. And speaking of all the people, one of the things aside from playing games, it was really just nice to get to know a lot of these content
Yes.
creators
Yeah.
on a very different level than we had in the past. Usually, when we see them at cons, it's like, "Hey, how's it going, Nova?" And we're on and we're like doing stuff. At this, it was chill.
Yes.
We were like doing things like karaoke. Oh, and we kind of glossed over it. Starla.
Oh, Starla.
Like we
From
learned,
Our Family Plays
we
Games.
learned things about
Oh,
people.
Starla.
She was an insanely good singer.
Yes.
Like,
Professional singer, right?
Yeah,
So
she's
good.
like classically trained, I believe, in it.
You guys were like, Emily, you should go next. I was like, not after Starla. Someone else can
No
go
one
next.
wanted to follow that, although I will say Steph and Michael from All the Meeples and Rainbow followed with a performance from Rocky Horror Picture Show. And when I say performance, it was a performance.
Yeah.
It was not just karaoke people
I would have been
singing.
throwing roses if I had them.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just getting to know people and then waking up, having breakfast, drinking some coffee, starting a board game, maybe playing Ark Nova for in 45 minutes.
Steph- 45
Steph and I
minutes.
played Ark Nova in 45 minutes. Steph, okay, one thing, if you guys don't know who Steph Hodge is, you should follow her. She's posting every day. She plays games every day. And
Yeah.
now I understand after being there with her for a weekend, I don't know if there was a time she wasn't playing a game, she was setting up a game to play.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
She
Yes.
always wanted, every time I saw her, she was like, "You want to play a game?"
It
Like
was
out
like
of
8
nowhere.
in the morning on our last day.
Well, that was
and we're
when we
like,
played
we're all
Ark Nova.
packing up. And she's like, all right, Ark Nova, let's go.
Hey,
Yeah.
we did it. It was fun.
It was crazy, but it was a lot of fun overall, and we got to play a bunch of games from Queen, which we've already played a lot. More games from Eagle Gryphon. I played Federation, which we have content up on the channel. What else did we...
Inside Up, I played Earth again. No surprise
I-
there.
yeah,
And
played-
PERCH is one of their new titles coming.
And Roll and Write Records, they had their Terminus.
Yes.
Yeah, they had a Terminus for sure. And then, interestingly enough, also back to Vital, he played Earth, and it
It
was
was
like
so long.
you'd think he'd be a master at any games, and Earth is not a heavy game.
No.
And that game, it was
took
5
5
players,
hours.
but it took them 5 hours.
5 hours is how long it took them to play.
Earth
Now-
can't go long if you don't like rush to the end.
Come on. Come on.
We've-
Come on.
We've got an Earth game that's taken like 4 weeks to finish right now.
Oh, that's true. Note to self: don't play Earth asynchronous on
BGA.
BGG or BGA. And I'm the reason because you have to like continuously play that game.
yeah.
It's only
Because
really
you don't remember what you were doing.
Well,
Well,
then
no,
you
it's
get to
just that
follow all the actions.
if you
and
walk
everything.
away from
yeah,
your
yeah.
computer for an afternoon, it's your turn again in a minute, or
Yeah.
you have to do something.
So I do want to say one last thing about A.T.O.M. though. I want to talk about one last thing because, like, really the reason we went, like David said, was to collaborate and to meet people. We did a lot of content. We have a lot of content on our channel. We'll be on content on other channels. But getting to know everyone, and we did some this really cool team building exercise that I think we should talk about. We played a game called Mall Night Long.
All night long.
Which this guy hosts it, like he hosts a live show, and the Gamers Ranch owner kind of hooked it up so that he could stream it in. But this guy can like run this game show for you from your own home, and it was a ton of fun.
yeah, it's a lot like a Jackbox trivia type game
Yeah.
with all sorts of different questions. It felt like a game show.
Yeah.
And we were all being guided by someone who could actually interact with us. So that in that way, it wasn't like Jackbox, and it was a lot of fun.
It was very tense at the end. It came down to
It
like
was.
some very strategic moves that ended up.
Yeah, some really interesting questions. And again, for all these things we've talked about, for which there would be links, we will have links for all of those things down below, so you can check it out for yourself, including the Gamers Ranch.
And everyone that was there will post. You could check out all their different content, the podcasts, the blogs, the photos, all of it.
Yeah, start checking it out. Hunt for us. See where you get to find us on the other content.
Yeah, find us wherever. All those people might throw out the content they did with us.
Some of them have already posted it,
That's
so
true.
I'm sure we're there.
So confident. David walks out of a podcast session and says, "Nope, scrap it."
So that was enough of A.T.O.M 2023. There may be an A.T.O.M 2024. Who knows? If there is, maybe we'll bring you news on that next year. But for now, we are going to bring back a little bit of a taste of player versus player with a game called Just 1 out of 10. All right, like I said, we have a game here called Just 1 ... out of 10.
Okay, David.
The premise of this game is that we looked at 1 out of 10 reviews for games on BGG that are generally regarded as good games by most people.
Not by these people, then.
So not by these people, and I'm not sharing their names, but these are actual quotes or snippets or full reviews from 1-star ratings on BGG.
Which is the lowest possible rating on BGG.
Yeah, 1 out of 10.
What do they have to say?
So we have 2 games tonight. The first one I started with, I thought this was a warm-up.
Okay.
So we'll see how this one goes. I'm going to give the review, and I've got 4 reviews here. And then I'm going to give them each a chance to guess. And you along, if you're watching along, you can guess.
You'll probably
too.
be able to beat us, so you guess too.
And these will progressively get a little closer to being able to guess the game. So some of the early ones will be, who knows?
Okay.
First review, again, generally regarded as a good game by many. Thousands of people like these games. Terrible game with nonsense rules.
Oh, God.
That's so specific.
All right.
Let's start with Emily.
I think I decided my guess, no matter what it was going to be, Terraforming Mars.
Yeah, these early ones, it's hard to really kind of glean anything. But when we go back, you'll go, okay.
Do I have to guess?
Yes.
You're not gonna...
Terrible game with nonsense rules.
With nonsense rules. I'm going to say...
I can't wait for you guys to find out what it is.
With nonsense rules, I'm going to say... Well, I almost want to say Terraform. I'm going to say Ark Nova.
No, not Ark Nova. Next up.
Okay.
And they get a little longer, too, by the way.
All right,
This one says, the bane of many a game night.
Wow.
This game made me think I hated trick-taking games and partnership games.
And partnership games.
The bane of many a game night. This game made me think
I got it.
I think I might know, too. I think I might know.
But you get first guess.
Is it Teach You?
It's got to be Teach You.
It is Teach You.
It's got to be Teach You. Come on.
It is Teach You.
Nonsensical rules.
The next one was terrible artwork, low quality cards, and barely a game at all.
Wow.
And then finally, the
I
last
disagree
one
with
was,
that.
this game is a crude mashup of a handful of actual Chinese card games, which require only a regular deck of cards to play.
Oh.
Well, there you go.
I mean, maybe that's true, but it depends on which Teach You deck you get, too. Some of them are really high quality.
I should have known that David was going to do one for Teach You. I should have just guessed Teach You.
I tested these out on Alicia beforehand. She's not as much of a gamer, so she was able to get them both by the 4th one.
Okay.
I think you guys will get them a little sooner.
All right,
Give us the second
Next
one.
one.
I'm all warmed up.
So technically, Ryan got that one before you.
Oh,
Thank you.
At least share the
So we'll
points.
start back with you again.
We share the points.
And warning, some of these have a little salty language.
Ooh.
But I will
It's
edit
a
it.
family-friendly show, dude.
First clue, or first review. POS game.
I would love it if that was
Might
the
as well play solitaire.
Might as well play solitaire.
That could be that's a lot of games.
Okay. What was I thinking? What? Oh, Hadrian's Wall.
Oh.
That's a good guess.
Because you think it's a POS game? Is that what you're saying?
No, because it's like I can see them saying it's solitaire.
Yeah,
Like,
okay,
There's not much player interaction.
I'm actually going to say Terraforming Mars for this one.
Terraforming Mars for this
There's
one?
like no player interaction at all. It's basically...
You're both wrong.
Okay, well...
It's not surprising. It's not much of a clue there. Next one. Horribly complicated, impossible to get going, Needing to stop to look at things several times a turn makes it impossible to enjoy. I really wanted to like this game, but I just can't. And we're back to you.
Oh, we're back to me. Do I have a clock, like a countdown clock?
You will.
David has an internal clock.
Well, in that same vein, I'll say Ark Nova.
3, 2.
I know a lot of people call Ark Nova a big multiplayer solitaire game as well.
Oh, Jesus.
They do. Those are my first 2 guesses.
It is Ark Nova.
Is it really?
It is Ark Nova.
Oh my God!
So I wasn't far off with Terraforming Mars.
You weren't far off, but I feel like... Did you feel like that was just kind of a go-to guess?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when I think of a game that people have criticized for being
just was going to
multiplayer
Ark Nova.
solitaire.
He was peeking earlier when I was...
Oh, I was not
When I was at my computer, he was like,
Called
I'm walking by
out.
saying, you close this because I can see.
peeking. I really wasn't sure.
I don't think he saw, though, because he can
I
see.
didn't.
The other clues were solitaire, restrictive, random targets, overrated, shares many traits with Terraforming Mars, which
Well,
I
that would've
almost
been good.
equally abhor. This abomination is
Wow.
even worse.
Wow.
Well, if you don't like Terraforming Mars, you're probably not going to like Ark Nova.
Here's something I learned. Not that this is a news flash. People who write 1-star reviews,
Have a lot to say.
they have a lot to say, generally speaking. The last one, zoos should not be celebrated. Leave animals free.
Oh, that's fair.
That
But
is fair. And that's a fair point, I suppose.
I felt the same way the first time I played Ark Nova. That's what made me actually think of that. Like, there's a lot that we had to keep going back to the rule book a lot for a lot of the different icons and like, what is this rule like? But now,
But it has a good solo mode too, so I guess there's that as well.
well,
right?
it does also have a good solo mode. But now it's just easy. Now you kind of just know all this stuff. You
Yeah.
don't have to, check the rule book at all.
I don't know that I've ever given a 1-star review for something.
I've not. I'm generally pretty... I like to see the good in things.
Yeah.
And I feel like I would never say anything's an abomination. Like... I mean, it has to be broken and not working.
That's the
and,
thing.
That sort of thing.
There's only one game I can think of that I might give a 1-star review to.
Now
but
they're all going to want to know.
No, we'll talk about it someday.
So anyway, that was a little taste of player versus player. We wanted to bring some of that sort of back, see what you guys thought, let you participate, hopefully if you're watching live, or even if you're watching after the fact. But now we are going to end things off with the games we've been playing.
So the game I want to talk about, I played at A.T.O.M, and this was Dodos Riding Dinos, which has been out for a little bit, but it just kind of entered my radar. And I got to play with a great group, Steph and Michael from All the Meeples of the Rainbow. Our Family Plays Games. Grant Lyon was there.
What day did you play that?
We played, I think, the first day.
Yeah.
The first full day.
I want to try it. We have a copy, so you'll have to teach it.
It's not a game that I would normally gravitate to. It is a race game, first across the finish line with dodos literally riding dinosaurs. And these dinosaurs come in all shapes and sizes and colors. And when you're choosing, you're just like, oh, this one looks cute or this one looks fun. But the size and shape does matter because there's actually a huge dexterity element to the game.
How
the
so?
game has all these different components. And you're like picking up meteors and dropping them over the thing. Or you're like, there's a banana that you have to rest your elbow and like throw. And there's a feather that you have to kind of like...
Feather?
Yeah, there's a log that you're rolling across the board. There's all these different, like not a real feather, but a component. But there's all these...
They tickle each other.
There's all these components, and you're playing these cards, and these cards might have you do these little mini dexterity games, and like the people that you hit, it's sometimes helpful, sometimes harmful. That's why sometimes you want the big mini so you can hit yourself. Sometimes you want the small one so other people can't hit you. It just kind of depends on how you're playing. And as the dinos move, they get in these different packs, and you're trying to aim your shot. But the real, like the big moment is that everyone's playing cards, and all these little things you're doing are based on these cards, and some of them are blue, which are normal actions, and some of them are red, which are the aggressive actions. But if too many people at the table all reveal red actions, none of you get to do your action. So there's this moment, like when you're choosing, you're like looking around like, everyone's in a clump right now. This would be a great time for my like super meteor card. But is everyone else at the table thinking that? There were several times when we'd all flip. There was one moment where Mick and Starlet from Our Family Plays Games both flipped red. And if you know...
And you did too?
And I did too. All three of us did. And if you've seen Mick's personality on his channel, it was quite the moment. But I like... That reveal made the game fun. The group I played with was having a lot of fun with it, which makes the game fun. And even though those little dexterity games can feel gimmicky, it was actually really fun to play. They were quite fun.
I had no idea there was a dexterity element. I thought it was just a racing game. Do the blue cards like basically just move you?
Not necessarily. They do all kinds of things like drawing cards. Like you have a health value in the number of cards you have.
Interesting.
As you take damage, you have to discard cards, and you eventually lose spaces on the map. And the blue cards can have dexterity elements, but they're not necessarily PvP focused.
I see.
Some of them are like try to hit yourself or like move yourself up a couple spaces.
Are some of them just move though?
Yeah,
Like,
there's
move
some that
up
just
5
like move.
spaces?
But you're always rolling dice to move. Like you're rolling a
I
die,
see.
moving, playing a card. The card tells you, there's just a bunch of stuff going on with these cards, and you're managing them as health. It was way more fun than I gave it credit for, and we only played the basic game. There's an advanced game that has like wormholes and you're bouncing around the map.
That's
It was.
cool.
We have
crazy.
to play this now
Yeah.
for sure. The dexterity aspect sounds really cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, and speaking of dexterity, I played this as Adam as well, but we've played it on the channel. We've talked about it before, but I want to talk about it here on Chit Chat because we haven't done that, and that is Nico Jima. This is a dexterity.
Love Nico Jima.
Maybe my favorite. I don't have a lot of favorite dexterity games. It's not my
It's
jam.
gotta be your favorite,
But
then.
this is my favorite dexterity game, I think, and we had a chance to play this for a preview, and it is really interesting because it makes you feel like you're thinking a little bit more than you would in most dexterity games, because the puzzle, you're putting these what they call denshu, which are these, I think is Japanese for telephone poles, and they have ropes between them, and there's denshus of different sizes and shapes with different lengths of ropes and different colors of rope, and this player board that has 4 colors, and you're basically putting these things on there. But if you play in teams, you have one and Emily has the other, and you're having to kind of do it together at the same time, weaving it in and out of this because nothing can touch anything else when the turn is over. And it's what the most amazing thing about it is when people start playing for the first time, they think, well, this is going to fall over pretty quickly. But before long, you've got this huge tower, and you're sitting there thinking like, how on earth did we make this? This is crazy.
Yeah, I played with Steph and Michael at Adam too, and it was I just love this game. It's so fun, and we didn't play in teams, we just played individually, but still you get those moments where you're like, ooh, I'm going to make you do red to blue, and that's going to be super hard, and they're like,
Yeah, it was a huge hit. Like, the people that we showed there were all like, what is this? Well, they hadn't seen it. Is this on Kickstarter? They were like, frantically in some cases asking that, and I was like, I think it's still live, and I think we were responsible
Yeah, you should get a
for
percentage.
for
Finder's
selling
fee.
at least like 3 or 4 copies of Nico Jima at Adam. So anyway,
awesome.
That was fun.
Another game that I had a really fun time playing was Crosstalk. So
Oh, you brought that, didn't you?
I brought
that
this.
was
Yes.
good experience.
It's always
It was.
fun when you get to bring a game, especially to something like this, where like he has like hundreds and hundreds of
He
games.
has all the games.
And so I was like, why am I being dumb and even bringing my own? But I was like, I want to get them played. And we got a chance to play Crosstalk. So it's a party game, kind of like Codenames-esque, where you're in 2 teams and you're both trying to guess a hidden word that the like taskmaster is trying to help you get. But the thing is, both teams have the same hidden word.
Yeah.
So we're both trying to get our respective teams to guess what it is. And when we give them a clue, we'll start by giving them one private clue that only they will see the whole game. After that, any clues I give, the other team is now going to guess. So I have to make sure my clues are just enough information for my team, but not enough so that the other team is now like, oh, that's super obvious, it must be this.
Well, yeah, it was a lot to wrap our heads around.
Yes.
It was tricky to wrap our heads around because just the whole idea of you trying to be vague but not too vague, and like discerning what our private clue was.
Yeah.
And then the kind of more gamery sort of aspect to it is the taskmaster, is it? Mm-hmm. Has this board, and they're able to, there's like these guided notes that they can jot down in terms of like, oh, this first clue, that's really not a good clue.
Yes.
Or this is vague. Or this clue here, that is an important clue.
Or like combine these 2 clues, synonyms.
Yeah,
exactly.
that was the fun part for me because you know what your team sees. Like you know what special clue you gave your team, and so you can say things that make no sense, and then just mark that little note and pass that little note. You get to do it once.
Yeah, you only get to do that once the entire game. You can't just do that anytime.
But the other team doesn't necessarily know. They think that you're giving clues to help, kind of help both teams a little bit. You want to help your team more than the other team. It's kind of strange, really, when you think about it. I liked ours where we had rebound.
Yes.
And the private clue I gave was basketball, and the public clue you gave was boyfriend. And like you can see after the fact, like there's rebounds in basketball. You have a rebound boyfriend. But like my team, seeing basketball and hearing boyfriend, the whole game, they just listed famous basketball boyfriends. They were like, they were like, who is in the media? Who recently was in a relationship? Who's you
Yeah.
know
Yes.
the power couple?
Yes.
And like I was like, no. So we had to like get them off of that.
Well,
like,
and then when I gave my private information to my team, I was like, don't worry about boyfriend. Go for the rest of them.
We're off track here. It was really fun to know that. I mean, there were some times when we had a clue, and we're looking at it, and we're after the fact, it's become so obvious. But at the
Yes.
time, it's one of those games where you're just sitting there scratching your head.
Yeah, it's a great game, and it's been out for a while.
Yeah.
Right? How long have you had that?
I've had it for at least a couple years. I got it for free at Gen Con one year.
I think it's at least a few years old, and I would say clearly it's not as accessible as like a code
Code
name.
Oh
Names.
no, but it's a different experience.
But it is next level for sure. So if you're a group of like more enthusiast gamers and Codenames is maybe, something you don't play anymore, Crosstalk is legit.
fun.
I
for
would
sure.
I would liken it more to like the crypto, that idea, like you're
Yeah.
saying the clues out loud and trying to deduce certain things. If you like that game, this is like the Codenames version of that, like a bigger group. You can almost
Yes.
play like a party game. Teams can be
and we
any
played it
size.
like a party game too, where
was-
people were like
yeah.
coming in and out,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
it was fine.
It was great.
Yeah.
And it feels like a party game, even
Yes.
though everyone is really like melting their brains trying to navigate this deduction of like.
Well, because then
what's
someone
that?
says something, they're like, "What if it's this?" You're like, "Ooh, that's a good idea. Let's go down that track."
Yeah, and there's a lot of, because the clues are for everyone, there's a lot of like, someone says, what about this? And they're like, shh, 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 shh.
Yeah.
There's a like, a lot of
Oh, yeah, like
conferring behind
like
closed
the
hands.
Sonic clue,
Mm-hmm.
where it was like
Oh.
Sonic the restaurant, not Sonic the Hedgehog. Or no, it was Sonic the Hedgehog, and we were like, oh, Sonic the restaurant.
Yeah, because someone said burger or something like that too.
So we were like hamburgers, and you're like, what? No.
Yeah, you can be very strategic. And anyway, that was really good. We played that the first night,
We
right?
played the first night.
We wanted to play it again, but we didn't get around
No,
to it.
we had
yeah.
so much going on at Adam. Like there was
All the time was filled.
so many games to play, so many people to see, so much to record.
Yeah.
I got like no sleep.
But
Yeah,
that's
it
a
was-
great con game too to bring to
It
cons
is.
in the
It is for
future.
sure.
Yeah, we'll have to get played again. But anyway, that was our experience at Adam. Those were the games, or some of the games that we played at Adam. We have also been playing games since then, but we're going to save those for another chit chat. So until next time, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.